Now, we've been covering this since day one. We called it treason when everyone else called it politics, and now the evidence is undeniable. What started as whispers and classified briefings has exploded into criminal referrals at the highest levels. They manufactured evidence. They weaponized intelligence agencies. They tried to overthrow a duly elected president. And now, with the documents declassified and the receipts in hand, the hunters have become the hunted. General Flynn wants raids. Gabbard delivered the proof. The DOJ has no choice but to act. The biggest political crime in American history is about to face justice. This is what accountability looks like. So stay with us, and you'll see. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risks onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and it's smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get their free wealth protection kit and discover how you can safeguard your savings. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone. And qualified accounts get two 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins. Also, call that number on the screen, pause it, write it down, pause the video, 877-646-5347. And when you call, tell Colin that Gary Franchi said hello. Now, I've got some, this is hilarious. This is so funny. I mean, you guys follow the Babylon Bee. I love the Babylon Bee. A big supporter of everything they put out. Well, look at this. Look at this headline. Babylon Bee, of course, is satire. I have to add that little disclaimer in there for anyone who, isn't smart enough to recognize it, especially the minders and censors. But anyway, this is the headline. Obama argues he can't be charged with treason since he wasn't born in America. Babylon Bee for the win. Okay, so I've got a quick thread I want to go to. I just found this. I reposted it yesterday from Ada Nestor. Now, if you don't know who she is, I'm learning that she is a radio co-host on the Conservative Voice in Philly, which is pretty cool to hear. Now, she posted this thread, and it basically lays it all out. And I want to go through it. We have more news to get to. Look at this meme that was posted. Donald Trump Jr. posting this meme 3 hours ago. Oh, that's the famous scene. Yeah, remember O.J. Simpson and the white Ford Bronco? Wait. Let's zoom in here. What do we have here? What? Oh, we've got Barack Obama driving the white Ford Bronco. We got Trump in the back. Who else is here? Oh, I'm not sure who that is, but funny guy. Whoever he probably made the meme, but I can certainly laugh at that. And then we have this. We have Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been on fire, posting on Truth Social. We're going to get to what he posted here. We're going to get to what CNN, right on cue, posted. And then, of course, well, we should just play this because President Trump posted this. This is the best part of the clip on Truth Social that President Trump made. You can see it here. Now, this is President Trump. You've got your classic meme showing up. Oh, there's President Trump and Barack Obama in the Oval Office. Wait, hello. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, you're coming with us, Mr. Obama. You're coming with us. Oh, yes, you got to love AI. Yes, we have to make that disclaimer here because we don't want anyone to think that this is actually real, but this is something we would love to see. These are visuals that, we pray. We pray every day that the criminals would see justice, and with what Tulsi Gabbard just released, these scenes could perhaps play out. Now, of course, I'm not holding my breath. The deep state runs very, very deep. The bureaucrats that are still entrenched in those agencies are probably going to slow walk a lot of what we're seeing from Tulsi Gabbard and the investigation. And then, of course, you have to get a judge who has the balls to, prosecute Barack Obama and Brennan and Comey and Clapper and the whole gang. Now, a lot of these judges appointed by Barack Obama, are they going to have the guts to do so? I don't think so. But with what we have learned, it's possible that this whole grand jury investigation with respect to this could be transferred down into the West Palm Beach area. And, well, maybe we'll get a favorable venue, and these scenes could actually play out in real life. It's all something we would love to see. Now, there's a lot to unpack in this segment. As you can see, I've got a lot here from Tulsi Gabbard. a lot of her media appearances as of late. We got General Flynn here we're going to get to in a moment. But let's just unpack this thread because I found it to be so fascinating what Ada Nestor Franchi wrote. Why did Obama and his allies go to such extremes, possibly even treason, to sabotage Trump before he took office? Because Trump was not just a political threat. He was a threat to everything that they were hiding. From Bush Sr. to Obama, a decades-long web of corruption, shadow power, and cover-ups ruled Washington. Trump didn't play along. He didn't need them. He was a wrecking ball aimed at their entire machine. Bush Sr. laid the foundation. Former CIA director turned president. Covert wars, drug trafficking, money laundering, off-the-books operations. The deep state as we know it was built on his watch. Clinton cashed in. Mena Airport, Chinagate, the rise of the Clinton Foundation as a global pay-to-play empire. Every scandal vanished down the memory hole, protected, insulated, and untouchable. Bush Jr. enabled the next phase. 9/11 gave them the excuse. Surveillance exploded. Patriot Act, black sites, secret kill lists. The military-industrial complex raked in trillions while Americans gave up their rights. Obama sealed the system. He promised hope and change, delivered mass censorship, intelligence manipulation, and weaponized the federal agencies. IRS against dissidents, DOJ to cover tracks, intelligence turned inward. Then came Trump. He talked openly about human trafficking, corrupt intelligence players, and globalist control. He signed orders, froze assets, threatened their black budgets. He wasn't one of them, and that terrified them. They hit him with everything. Illegally unmasking his team, fabricated dossiers, FBI infiltration, Russiagate, two sham impeachment, full-blown lawfare. Why? Not politics, self-preservation. The media calls it resistance. Well, it's not. It's a criminal enterprise trying to bury its tracks before Trump exposes the rot that they've spent 30 years protecting. This was not about stopping Trump. It was about stopping the truth. And now they are desperate, and they're louder than ever. They're unhinged, coordinated, and frantic. Why? Because Trump still knows, and if he returns, they know it all comes down. It is the fight of our lifetime, not left versus right. It's truth versus power, and they are losing control of the story. Well said, Ada Nestor. Now, let's take a listen to what President Trump posted on 7/20 of this year at 6:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. President Trump dropping bombshell after bombshell on Truth Social. Let's listen. Maybe Trump has a special message for us here.
An outcome. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not speculation. This is documented fact. For years, they told us Trump was the threat to democracy, but the real threat was the attempt to remove him. On December 9, 2016, inside the Obama White House, a classified meeting took place. Present were CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and several senior officials. Barack Obama was there, and what they discussed would become the most coordinated political deception in U.S. history. Just days earlier, an internal intelligence community report concluded Russia had not altered the outcome of the 26th election. On December 7, DNI Clapper reaffirmed it. Quote, "Foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on critical infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome." End quote. But that wasn't the story the Obama administration wanted. So after that White House meeting, Clapper's executive assistant sent out an email. The order: prepare a new intelligence assessment, one that aligned with the president's request. That's right. Intelligence was politicized at the highest levels under the direction of a sitting president to frame the incoming one. They buried prior reports. They inflated the Steele dossier. They reversed conclusions, and they launched the January 6, 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, used to trigger investigations, media hysteria, FISA warrants, and ultimately impeachment. It was a soft coup. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has now declassified the emails, memos, and reports. In her words, this was a treasonous conspiracy orchestrated by Barack Obama and carried out by key members of his administration. General Flynn calls it the greatest crime in American history. Others are demanding arrests, indictments, and immediate action from the DOJ, because if this stands, our constitutional republic falls. We now have names. We have documents. We have sworn testimony. No more theories, only accountability. My friends, we are all anonymous, and we speak for the silenced, and we are awake, and we are everywhere, and we will not stop until the truth is reckoned with. This is not a conspiracy.
Oh, man. Well put. President Trump posted that on Truth Social, guys. Okay? Let that sink in. And speaking of General Flynn, actually, let's go to this. Let's go to this. Right on cue. Virginia Democrat gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger called Tulsi Gabbard a conspiracy theorist and implied she's a Russian asset. She didn't want Tulsi in there because she knew what she would find. Virginia cannot elect a member with the same intelligence groups attempting to overthrow a sitting president.
So I'm a former CIA officer. I worked undercover for my time with the agency as a case officer. And case officers throughout the world currently are out there recruiting foreign individuals to provide information to the United States government, to provide information that helps inform our policymakers, our military leaders, our diplomats, and ultimately the president. And that's when we talk about sources and methods, right? The sources and methods are the means by which we know certain things, whether that's the person who's reporting that information in some far off country, whether it's technologies that might be at play. And so not only is it vitally important that we have a clear understanding that every person with access to classified information, and especially the DNI, protects the classified information that is collected, but also that they protect and understand how sensitive sometimes our means of gathering that information is, the sources and methods. And the DNI is the person who sees everything. They know every capability. They know the information that we do or do not have, the information that is or isn't informing our decisions. And frankly, the reason that this nomination, I think, is so dangerous is because any damage that she would do, any information she would provide the president, right? She tweets Russian propaganda. Why not include it in the presidential daily brief? She traffics in conspiracy theories. Why not kind of push that into the greater ecosystem of intelligence? And none of that would ever be seen by the public. There's no opportunity to push back. There's no opportunity to understand. And frankly, even just a lack of understanding of and respect for how it is that the intelligence community works could really, truly undermine not just our ability to collect information, but our ability to work with partner nations.
Okay, enough of that. Now, obviously, this clip was during the nomination process of Tulsi Gabbard, and this former CIA official, CIA agent, is warning, oh, she can't be picked, she can't be trusted because she's going to release information. And look where we are now. Tulsi Gabbard has released information that implicates so many people all the way to the top. Now, we're going to continue here. Let's listen to General Flynn, what he had to say. He posted this 6 hours ago, and he tagged AG Pam Bondi. He writes, there should be an immediate FBI raid on Obama's D.C. mansion. Demands passports stripped from all Russiagate co-conspirators, citing flight risk. Accountability is required and justice must be served. He's tagging real Donald Trump and JD Vance in this post just 6 hours ago. Let's listen.
And I do think that just as was done to President Trump when they raided his home at Mar-a-Lago, because they thought that there was, and they planted evidence there in that case. But I do think that what the DOJ should be considering, if not getting ready to conduct, is a raid of Barack Obama's home up there at Kalorama in Washington, D.C., where he's been since he physically left the White House. He's been running the White House, all during the Biden regime. And I do think that there's some other places that need to be raided where there are likely, a lot of evidence, a lot of receipts, so to speak, in many of these people that are part of the Obama White House, as well as the Biden White House. I mean, I just heard the great David Schoen talking about the former Deputy Attorney General of Monaco, who also was the Homeland Security Advisor to Barack Obama. So that's number one. Those are things that need to be considered right now. And I was ready to wake up this morning to hear about some of these raids that should have been going on. There should, as a minimum, be a task force assembled by of federal law enforcement authorities, as well as a assigned, dedicated prosecutor at the DOJ level, at the Attorney General level, someone who is working directly for her and for the President of the United States. This has got to happen very quickly, just as was done to President Trump when they raided his home at Mar-a-Lago.
Raid Barack Obama's home. Maybe that's something we'll see soon. I know President Trump would love that. DNI Gabbard has just officially handed the receipts to the DOJ to launch a criminal investigation into Barack Obama's manufactured Russia collusion hoax. We must see arrests, show no mercy. George Papadopoulos, 12 hours ago. If you think the December 2006 Obama meeting that was declassified is bad, just wait until the following is declassified. George Papadopoulos, who was at the center of the Russia hoax, who actually went to prison for a week during that time, who I have come to know and become very friendly with. Him and his wife and my wife, share a lot in common. He's actually born and raised in my neck of the woods here, so we've got a lot in common. And I've spent some time with him, and he's a great guy. So not just the fact he's a great guy, but what he experienced is firsthand. So let's listen to what he says. He says, wait until the following is declassified. He posts a Fox News clip here. Listen.
Here's 2016 Russia collusion hoax by asking foreign intelligence agencies to illegally spy on the Trump campaign.
Lucas Tomlinson in Washington with more. Lucas.
Good early morning, Carly and Todd. This report from Substack, citing multiple unnamed sources, claims the U.S. intelligence community asked foreign spy agencies to help spy on more than 24 associates of Donald Trump in the run-up to the 2016 election. It reads in part, quote, President Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, had identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to target. A source confirmed that the IC had identified them as people to bump or make contact with or manipulate. They were targets of our own IC and law enforcement, targets for collection and misinformation. Now, the Five Eyes nations are the U.S., U.K., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Here's one of the reporters, Michael Schellenberger, who spoke to Jesse Waters last night.
Now, before we get to that, I want to make it very clear how you understand the Five Eyes. So, technically, we're not allowed to spy on our own people. Okay, the CIA cannot be turned inward. But the CIA can turn to any of their friends in the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Canada, or Australia to look at us. And then what do you think happens to that intelligence? Okay? So let's listen to what Jesse Waters and Michael Schellenberger have to say here.
If this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information.
The report was released at the same time House conservatives are preparing a bill that would reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act that allows the government to collect communications from foreigners abroad. And today, the House Rules Committee is set to meet.
Okay, now let's continue with our investigation here. We have this Carrie Bonet. Why didn't this come out before? Let's listen to what Matt Taibbi has to say. Taibbi says Obama squarely in the Russiagate crosshairs. Matt Taibbi, an excellent investigative journalist. Listen.
Alice and James Comey were the focus of criminal investigations that have been opened by the Justice Department. But these new documents that were released by Tulsi Gabbard and the Director of National Intelligence make it clear that the investigation is now aimed at the Obama White House, and in particular at Barack Obama, because of decisions that were made in early December of 2016 to suppress the presidential daily briefing and go ahead and order a new intelligence community assessment that ultimately would have much more aggressive conclusions about Trump and Russia.
So a lot of this December of 2016 into January of 2017, I'm assuming also. But Trump's people were in there for 4 years. And the current CIA director had his job for 8 months at the time. Did his people fail him? Why wasn't there more urgency on this and Trump 1.0 as there is now?
Yeah, that's a complaint I heard a lot over the weekend from people who have been following this, and even from former officials who are close to Trump. One of them said to me, a former high-ranking Trump official said there was, quote, so much corruption in the last Trump presidency that this shouldn't have been overlooked, that these documents should have come out. Absolutely. But the overall sense I get is that everyone's happy that they finally are coming out, and they're looking forward to what is likely to come out this week.
Okay, another question about Russia. Is the allegation they were trying to influence our election, or is the allegation that they actually changed votes? I think we need to be clear on that. What can we say?
So it's both. The Democrats are making a lot of hay over this apples and oranges issue, that there was never any question that they didn't actually change vote tallies, but they did influence the election. Actually, there was some question about whether they had the ability to influence the election. There were quotes earlier from that year with the FBI saying they didn't have any evidence that they had done so, and they were uncomfortable making that statement. There were also quotes saying that they lacked evidence that Russia had the ability to impact the outcome of the election. So all of this would have been passed on to somebody like Michael Flynn, because presidents-elect are entitled to receive the presidential daily briefing. That's why this is important. It's not so much what the PDB did say, it's what it didn't say. It didn't say that there was a sweeping conspiracy to help Trump. And if they had that, it would have been a very different political picture going forward.
Okay, it looks like it's the DOJ's call next, and we'll see what they do.
Yes, we will. Buckle up. Get your popcorn ready, folks. This is the moment we have all been praying for. Let's check in with Jim Rickards, explaining there's no statute of limitations issue in prosecuting those involved in Russiagate, or we should call it Obamagate at this point. A conspiracy widens the net, but more importantly, it extends the statute of limitations. Let's check in with Jim Rickards. I love Jim.
Delivered a bomb. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard has been getting lit up because the CIA, in conjunction with the Mossad, came up with the urgency that we had to get into it with the Persians. Jim Rickards, we know she's a serious person. We know she can also take incoming. She's kind of unflappable. She can take incoming, as she has over the last couple of months, and then delivered a bombshell that President Trump got on board early, but last night he went next level of his enthusiasm for this, including having this little film put together with Obama being actually incarcerated. I want to go back to you're saying they're smart in the way they're doing this, given your knowledge of the intelligence community, and particularly going directly to a conspiracy into RICO, using the RICO statutes to go over this. Can you continue on your analysis, sir?
Sure. So the first point we made is conspiracy widens the net, so people tangentially involved can be kind of hauled in to the core of the conspiracy and face those charges because they contributed to it. But more importantly, it extends the statute of limitations, because the immediate reaction to some of this was, yeah, maybe, but it was 2016. That was 9 years ago. The statute's 5 years or 7 years, depending on the offense. That's not how it works in a conspiracy. You start the statute of limitations from the last act. And that would be at least the rate on Mar-a-Lago. If I were a lawyer, I happen to be a lawyer, if I were a lawyer to any of these potential defendants, I would say keep off the phone and don't talk to any of the other people. In fact, don't talk about it at all. Every phone call that furthers the conspiracy starts the statute of limitations over again. So you are not going to have a statute of limitations problem. So widen that. statute of limitations is simply not a problem. The other thing you look at is what's called venue and jurisdiction. Well, Chris Wray sent the goon squads into Mar-a-Lago to go through Melania's, lingerie. Thank you. That just handed the White House or the Department of Justice a Florida jurisdiction. So you could bring the case in Florida. You could bring it in other states as well. This was a pretty widespread coup. Pick your state, but you're certainly not going to pick Washington, D.C. or New York or any other Democratic stronghold. So statute of limitations is not a problem. Conspiracy casts a wide net. Florida jurisdiction is clear. Other states, if you prefer. So my point is they've really thought this through, anticipated all the objections or all the potential defenses, and structured it in such a way that those defenses fall down. And the last point, I encourage the War Room Posse, read what Tulsi Gabbard actually released. It was a kind of a one-pager, tons of documents behind it. But what she actually released, again, serious person, she used the word coup. The word coup was in there, which is what it was. I think you're right, absolutely right about that. She also used the word treason. I think the word was treasonous, but okay, the root word is treason. One of the very few crimes mentioned in the Constitution. Of course, you can get the death penalty for that. So this was carefully crafted, carefully thought through. They anticipated the defenses. They've knocked them down before they can even be raised. I would expect in due course, but maybe sooner than later, grand juries, indictments, trials, and some convictions.
Okay, Tulsi Gabbard's been getting...
Yeah, baby. Statute of limitations. Going to keep extending. Let's keep going. We've got more to get into. We're not done yet. Oh, what are they doing at Face the Nation? Carly Bonet goes, cry more. Let's hear.
Russian interference. A bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee investigation found that the U.S. intelligence community's assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election was correct. They deemed it to be so on a bipartisan basis. I'm saying that because today and yesterday, the director of the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, has said that she is referring for prosecution former American officials she accused of treasonous conspiracy, a years-long coup against President Trump, because they assessed Russia had tried to influence the election. This is weeks after the CIA director issued a report critiquing the tradecraft that went into that 2016 assessment. Is there any legal basis for any kind of prosecution here?
None. Absolutely none, Margaret. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language...
Okay, this is Representative Jim Hines, the Democrat from Connecticut, ranking member of the Intelligence Committee. Yeah, he's clearly panicking.
Like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct. Now,
wait a minute. But what if all the evidence that they were reviewing was manufactured? What if they based all of their decisions and judgments on manufactured evidence from the intelligence community? Oh, wait a minute. That's exactly what Tulsi Gabbard is saying, is that the intelligence community edited and redacted and changed their narrative so they could create this entire conspiracy to frame Trump. So it starts at the very beginning. And everything after it is rotten. All right, I'm not going to go anymore with this guy. I want to get to Tulsi Gabbard because she just hit Fox News, and we need to see her remarks on this. Okay, now this is 7 minutes. We have, okay, let's play this one. This was posted 48 hours ago. Tulsi Gabbard, listen.
The intelligence community assessed, and this is what the documents detail, the intelligence community assessed essentially Russia doesn't have the tools, the capability, or the intent to try to change the outcome of the U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump pulls off a historic victory against Hillary Clinton in November of 2016. Even in the days after that election, the intelligence community continued their consistent assessment that reflected the same thing in the months leading up to the election. All of a sudden, in the early days of December, there was a president's daily brief that was drafted. This is put together by the different elements of the intelligence community that reflected that same assessment. Russia did not try to hack the election, in essence. That PDB, that document, was pulled hours before it was supposed to be published for the president to see that following morning. That document was never published until we released it yesterday. One day later, President Obama calls a meeting of his National Security Council, his top officials, to be held on what they called a sensitive topic. And the results of that meeting, which we released yesterday, and these over 100 documents that talk about in detail how President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States. So, as you know, there was a Mueller investigation that went on for years, cost taxpayers nearly $40 million. There were 2 congressional impeachments. President Trump and almost every member of his family were smeared and attacked, faced lawsuits, depositions. High-level officials were investigated, some were arrested and put in jail. The list goes on and on about the ramifications of this, but foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
A years-long coup. I mean, no wonder they didn't want him in the 2020 election. Let's keep going. We got some more from Tulsi Gabbard here. Here she is on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo 24 hours ago.
Detail. The implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American, because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president, commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to, quote unquote, hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So the effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic, and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people. The implications...
Oh, my goodness. I mean, the fact that this is finally coming to light, we can all breathe, but we all need to stay on this and demand justice. Here we have more from that same interview with Maria Bartiromo Here is Tulsi Gabbard saying it's worse than even politicization of intelligence.
It was there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again. There's no question.
Within the next week, we are going to see even more released by Tulsi Gabbard. So if you think this is going away, it's not. And we're going to keep tracking this. Okay, here's another one. Tulsi Gabbard on Fox. In the months leading up to November 2016 election, the intelligence community agreed there was no intelligence. Well, this is more of what we've heard her say already. So what we're witnessing here, folks, is the beginning of the end of the tyranny that we have all lived under, that the Trump family has lived under. After you and I all voted for that man, President Trump, after we all cast our vote because we wanted to see real hope and real change, the man who promised that started a frickin' coup. And now we have it all in black and white. Now, for anyone who's going to go back and say, why are you wasting your time with this? It was in 2016. Because if we don't cut off the head of the snake now, it will continue to grow and get even more hungry and devour even more in its wake. Now, yes, the deep state actors who are still entrenched in these bureaucracies and these intelligence agencies, they are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure this is slow-walked, to make sure that's roadblocked. Of course, like I mentioned before, they have to find a judge who's going to be favorable. And you heard Rickards say that it could go to Palm Beach because they raided Mar-a-Lago. This is only the beginning. We're going to keep on this. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe because you don't want to miss what we are about to uncover in the weeks ahead. So they thought that they would get away with it. Obama, Brennan, Comey, the whole corrupt cabal that weaponized our intelligence agencies against the American people. But Tulsi Gabbard just changed the game. She's not playing politics. She's delivering evidence of manufactured intelligence, fake dossiers, and coordinated sedition. This wasn't opposition research gone wrong. This was an attempted coup orchestrated from the Obama Oval Office, executed through corrupted agencies and then covered up by complicit media. You heard him, Jim Rickards, confirming what we've been saying. There is no statute of limitations on conspiracy. These traitors can still face justice. The December 2016 meeting that started it all, Declassified, the evidence delivered. The only question now is whether our justice system has the courage to do what must be done. So I ask you, should Barack Hussein Obama face criminal charges for the Russia hoax, for Obamagate? Drop a yes or no. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. And if you want to have real justice. Support our efforts to expose President Otto Penn and that new all-inclusive resort for illegals down in Florida, Alligator Alcatraz, or you could pick out your favorite member of the administration in our American Badass series. Oh, yeah, maybe you want to get a Tulsi Gabbard shirt, right? I think we should all be wearing Tulsi Gabbard shirts. She's badass. Get one. Go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, support the administration, and support this network, and wear your patriotism proudly.